Hello, my name is Tasso Comanescu and welcome to EliteGuitarist.com. Today I'll be going over Julia Florida by the famous Paraguayan guitar composer Agustin Barrios Mongore. This piece is one of his concert favorites. It's slow and beautiful and lyrical, and I'll be showing you some of the things that I like to do with it, and hopefully you take something away from that. So here we go. Okay, so let's look at bar 1. In the score, this is in the upper left-hand corner. And I'd just like to remind you that you have to tune your low E string down a full step to D. Hence the 6 that is circled, that means your 6th string equals D. I'd like you to start with your left hand at the 4th position, because that's what we're going to need it in the second half of the measure. And you can plant your right hand thumb, or P, on the low D string, because we've tuned down our 6th string a step for this piece, and our A finger on the high E string, okay? So I do free stroke through the open bass notes, D, then A, and then an F sharp here at the 4th fret of the D string, and then I move that up 1 fret and play this chord, slight roll with my thumb, index, and ring finger, and my left hand is first finger at the 5th fret on the G, then my 3rd finger on the C sharp, which is the 6th fret of the G string, and then my 2nd finger on the 5th fret of the high E string, which is an A. And I roll that chord with some vibrato like this. And once I roll that chord, I like to mute the low D string. So as while I'm rolling, I move my thumb to that low string. You'll notice there's a rest in the bass line of that part of the measure, so it clears the air for that chord. And then you do the same thing in bar 2. But now, after the chord, you're going to leave the chord down and play a B at the 7th fret of the high E string with your 4th finger. I use my ring finger on my right hand. And then I go back to the A with my 2nd finger there at the end of the measure, like this. Add a little vibrato, and then you can do a gentle slide off into bar 2. So that's the first phrase, or the intro if you like. And I like to just sort of give a disclaimer that with a slower lyrical piece like this, it's important to check your nails beforehand and sort of use whichever one feels good for certain parts of the melody. So I'll give you suggestions for what to do with your right hand, rest stroke, free stroke, which finger I'm favoring. But with a slower piece like this, it's sort of up to you to figure out what's working for the right hand. So I'm going to focus primarily in detail with the left hand and then give suggestions for the right hand. Here we go, bar 3. This is the first part of the main melody. So I'm going to start with my 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, play that rest stroke with my I, and low D with my P, little vibrato, then an open A, F sharp, 4th fret with my 3rd finger, and then a G now on the same string, 5th fret with an A in the melody, a B on the 4th fret of the G string, and then an A on the 2nd fret of the G string. Okay, so this is bar 3. And then we land on bar 4, back on that A and D. Same thing, open A, then an F sharp with our 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the D string. And then in the second half of the measure, we're going to play a G on the 5th fret of the 4th string with an A on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, then a B again with our 3rd finger on the 3rd string, 4th fret, and then a C sharp on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. So this is bar 4. Okay, and I leave my pinky down for the second half of the measure because it's supposed to ring through. And now we're in the second system, bar 5, okay? I leave the bar down, that half bar, and I go to an F sharp and a D. The F sharp is on the 4th fret of the low E string, and the 2nd finger plays the D on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And always at the start of these measures with these long melody notes that are dotted quarter notes or lasting for 3/8 notes, I like to add a little vibrato. Sweetens the melody. Bar 4, bar 5. Okay, so we have the downbeat there, F sharp and D, open D, A, which is a part of the bar on the 3rd string, and then move it up 1 fret to A sharp. Your D's already down with your 2nd finger there. Play those together, and then an E on the 5th fret of the 2nd string, and then back to the D. So this is bar 5. Okay, now here's something that I do. Notice now in my transition to measure 6, I leave my 1st finger down and remove my 2nd finger and make a bar. Okay, so I do measure 5, get the 2nd finger out of the way, and then make a bar like that. Okay, it's a half bar there for measure 6. Okay, the D in the melody is a part of that bar on the 2nd string, and then the bass note is a low G on the 5th fret of the 6th string. Play those together. Open D, and then a B at the 4th fret of the 3rd string. And then I move that over to grab the C on the 5th fret of the 3rd string. This is halfway through the bar. I play that together with a D in the melody on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then an E on the 5th fret of the 2nd string, and then back to D. Okay, so this is bar 6. Okay, now one thing that I like to do is to change the fingering here slightly and to move the 3rd finger from the E down to the D to prepare for measure 7. It's written like this. That's correct according to the score, but I like to prepare measure 7 and make it more legato that way. Also, keep in mind that Barrios himself didn't actually write most of his music down. His students wrote them down, and people that were admirers of his, and that's why there are so many different versions of this piece. So you kind of have to make changes with that in mind. Okay? So now we're at measure 7. This is halfway through the 2nd system. The bass note is a B on the 2nd fret of the A string, and the melody is on the 3rd fret of the high E string with your 4th finger. Open G, then D with your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, leave that down, okay? Then add an F sharp with that D again. The F sharp is on the 2nd fret of the high E string, then an open E, and then a G with your 4th finger, same string. So this is bar 7. Notice I'm using the same finger on my right hand for the melody. M, 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 M with the rest stroke. Of course, you could do it M, M, I if you want, and then A. It's up to you, however you're feeling that day. Or whatever works best for your hands, I should say. So this is bar 8, okay? It's the last measure in the 2nd system. Okay, I'm coming out of measure 7. I leave my 1st finger down there on the bass note, which is a B at the 2nd fret, and I collapse the bar with an F sharp in the melody with my A finger in the right hand, then an F sharp on the 4th fret of the 4th string with my 3rd finger, and then a D with my 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Leave all that down, add my 4th finger on the B, which is the 4th fret of the 3rd string, to make a B minor chord. Okay, you might know that shape. Then let go of my 2nd finger to find the C sharp as a part of the bar, and then add the 2nd finger back where it was to play the D. This is bar 8. Okay, now we're in the 3rd system. Keep your 1st finger down, but relax the bar so that you can grab the open E on top in the melody, but still have that B in the bass. Add your 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string for the F sharp, and then your 2nd finger back on the D here, which is the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Now we're gonna move our 3rd and 2nd finger in conjunction together over by 2 frets to play the G sharp on the 6th fret of the 4th string, and then the E on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. Leave your 3rd finger down, play the F sharp on the 2nd string as well at the 7th fret, and then go down to the D at the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Okay, so this is measure 9. Shift together. You notice that little E there, it's an anticipation of measure 10. I play that with my 1st finger, and then I come and grab the B with my fourth finger at the 4th fret of the 3rd string and slide that up into the D at the 7th fret. You can add some vibrato if you like, and then you can play the G here at the 5th fret of the 4th string and a C sharp at the 6th fret of the 3rd string, and then a B at the 4th fret of the same string, and then a harmonic at the 7th fret of the low E string. Okay, so this is bar 9 and 10, which ends our first phrase. Shift, add some vibrato, slide up, hold that, and add your harmonic. And then we're off to the next phrase. Cool, so after that harmonic, which we just played at the 7th fret of the low string with our 4th finger, we're gonna do a grace note, which is a quick slide from the 4th fret of the D string to the 7th fret of the D string, from F sharp to A. Okay, just like that. Hold that, that's your new melody now. Open A, and then F sharp at the 9th fret of the A string. Leave that A down with your 1st finger and add your 4th finger at the 10th fret of the A string. And I like to use my thumb for a quick sort of strum of those 2 strings together. It's broken, you can emphasize the melody. So I'm playing them both, but I'm emphasizing the melody. Then I grab the B there with my 3rd finger at the 9th fret of the 4th string, and then back to A. And then measure 12. So here we go, measure 11. And I play the low D there sort of as a grace note into the melody, because I like using my thumb. You can get a richer sound there as opposed to using your index finger. But if that works for you, you can do that too. Open A, F sharp at the 9th fret of the 5th string, and now I'm going to play an open G, which is in the bass, and an A at the 7th fret again of the 4th string, and that open G masks my shift down to the 2nd position, open B and then C sharp. So here we go, measure 12, add vibrato, measure 13, okay? Measure 13, we have a D at the 3rd fret of the 2nd string and an F sharp at the 4th fret of the low E string, open D, and then A at the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and then I move that half bar over to the 3rd fret, play the D in the melody as part of that bar on the 2nd string, and then a C natural, okay, at the 5th fret of the 3rd string in the bass, and then E with my 4th finger in the melody, and then back to D. So this is bar 13. You may notice too that I mute the low D that's ringing here halfway through bar 13 by planting my thumb. Okay? You can do one other thing in preparation for bar 14 by bringing your thumb to the 6th string after you mute the 4th string to then grab that right there, which is the downbeat of bar 14, which is a low G with our 2nd finger at the 5th fret of the low string, and then a B on the 7th fret of the high E string. And that's the melody, open D, open B, and then I play an E with my 1st finger at the 5th fret of the 2nd string and a C sharp at the 6th fret of the 3rd string. Have that C sharp ringing, F sharp at the 7th fret of the 2nd string, and then G at the 8th fret of the 2nd string. So this is bar 14, a little vibrato, shift, mute the D with your thumb, going up the 2nd string to the 9th position, one of my favorite parts of the piece. This is bar 15, okay? So I have a 5-6 bar at the 9th fret, and grabbing that F sharp on the 5th string, and the melody is the A at the 10th fret of the B string. Hold that down, make a F sharp minor chord, okay? Here we go. Okay, so we're halfway through bar 15 now. It's an E minor 7 chord, 5-6 bar here, E, and then D on the 3rd string, and then G with our 2nd finger at the 8th fret, and then B at the 7th fret of the high E string. I roll that chord, P-I-M-A, let it ring, C sharp at the 9th fret of the high E string, and then D at the 10th fret. It's nice to slide off to the next chord, the downbeat of measure 16. And as a side note, that is something that I try to do a lot in this piece. Little slides, a little bit of vibrato, nuance. It gives the melody and the performance character. And you can decide what works for you and make the piece your own that way. And that's part of the charm and adventure of working on a piece that's beautiful like this. Okay? So we're at bar 16. We're sliding off into an F sharp minor chord, F sharp 4th fret of the 4th string, C sharp at the 6th fret of the G string, and then the melody is on the 1st string at the 5th fret, the A. Let that ring, and then a D at the 7th fret of the 3rd string and back to C sharp. Then roll the chord, open G, open B, and then B at the 7th fret of the high E string, C sharp 9th fret, D 10th fret. Definitely want to slide off of that into measure 17. Okay, so you can slide, going back to bar 14, you can slide into bar 15 if you want, and then off the high D here into 16, and then off the D there into the downbeat of measure 17. And there's also a repeat the 2nd time around, so you can maybe do a strum with your thumb if you like. If you really want to get maximum vibrato, you can leave your 1st and 3rd finger down when you're doing the vibrato at the end of bar 16. Again, lots to do and experiment with. Record yourself. You'll figure it out. Bar 17, next system, okay? This is 5 systems down. We have a chord here. Okay, and it's tricky for the right hand because you have to play the 5th and 4th string along with the 2nd and 1st string, okay? So it's a bit tricky. You have to skip that 3rd string. It's open A, F sharp at the 4th fret with your 2nd finger, E at the 5th fret with your 3rd finger on the 2nd string, and the melody is A, which is a 5th fret of the 1st string. Roll that chord, grab the D with your 1st finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then an open B. Leave your 4th finger down as a common finger. And you go to the chord halfway through measure 17. This is open G and A on top, and then an ornament between C sharp and D. Open B, and then a hammer on back to C sharp. So this is bar 17. And the 2nd time around, this is where we go to the coda, okay? But we're going to keep going now into bar 18. And I like to, one thing about bar 17, you can roll this chord halfway through and lean on it, really milk it, okay? Okay, this is bar 18, open D, F sharp at the 4th fret of the D string, D again at the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and A on top, the 5th fret of the 1st string. Leave that down, open A, then the F sharp again, shift to this chord that we had at the beginning. Okay, this is the A7 chord, inversion, of course, 3rd inversion. We have G in the bass, okay, C sharp here and A, so that's the 5th fret, 6th fret, and then 5th fret of the high E string. Shift down, okay, to that A. I leave the chord out in the addition I have. Open A, F sharp. This is now halfway through bar 19. Leave that 3rd finger down as you shift to mask the shift, okay? And notice I leave it down to connect the bass line, okay? I mute that low D with my thumb as I roll. G at the 5th fret of the 4th string, and then A and C sharp is a part of that 2/3 bar at the 2nd fret. B at the 4th fret of the 3rd string and back to A. So this is bar 19. Leave that bar down, then go to the downbeat of bar 20, which is a D major chord, F sharp in the bass, A and D, 4th fret of the 4th string, part of the bar, and then 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Grab the B there, melody, 4th fret of the 3rd string, back to A. Leave the bar down, shift your 2nd finger down 1 string to the A sharp at the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. Lean a little bit on this G here, 4th string, 5th fret, and then back to the F sharp. It says rallento poco, so it's nice to relax as you begin the next section of the piece. So this is bar 19 and bar 20. Roll, mute the low string, leave the bar down, keep leaving it down, lean, and then you're off to the next section.